Hey everyone, and just a disclaimer to begin with. This is pure speculation. This video is just something I have been thinking about over the weekend because we had that horrendous week in court where Special Prosecutor Brennan, first of all, treated the defense team like they were morons. He was demeaning. He was bad mouthing them. He was constantly implying that they lie, while the same guy never ever answers any questions that has anything to do with the motions put forward. And the thing that made me think was they want to get all of the communication between Aiden and Karen Reed and Karen Reed and Dave Yannetti. They even tried to ambush the Karen Reed team by going forward with a hearing where she wasn't present, claiming she had no part in it and shouldn't be allowed to be present and heard in a case about her collusion with Aiden, something a grand jury have looked at and thrown out. A grand jury is the lowest of the lowest bars of evidence you have to provide, because the defense isn't even there to say, this is just crazy. Even a grand jury wouldn't grant them the charges for a collusion between Aiden Carney and Karen Reed, that they were colluding to harass witnesses. They keep trying to get this put into the case, and now they want their communications. I love the wording of it, that any text messages about the murderers of John O'Keefe or anyone who knew them. I think it was a typo, but it just came off as the people named in that motion and ruling was kind of implied to be the ones who did it, but I might just be reading it with my rose-tinted glasses. But after all of that, I started going through some things in my head, and also because I was on the Twitch threads, and it struck me, it seems like a lot of information from the MSP, the prosecution, seems to be out before it's ever mentioned in court filings, or openly discussed by anyone. And it made me wonder, does the MSP imply the tactics that they claim Karen Reed does? And shouldn't the defense now ask for any communication between certain social media influencers and the MSP? We have the old email from September 1st, 2023. Michael Morrissey, Michael Proctor, True Boccarino, Bukaki, Lynn Billen. How real it is, I don't know, but he's forwarding a message from David Traub alerting them to Kathy Daffy. She's a retired FBI agent with an enormous Twitter reach. Well, if you count all of the people she hasn't blocked, and she's now in a protective state because every time she tweets, people tell her she's an idiot, who has provided context pushback to some of the more easily debunked aspects of the social media blitz. So if this is a real email, then the MSP at least were aware of Kathy Daffy fighting for the Smurf side. I found another little tidbit where Caffey Daffy says, but then got lazy. I've seen the text. Sadly, no signal, but they have enough. Which is a reply to, hey, stupid. That wasn't his reaction to that. That was him covering his face, laughing at Janetti, talking back to Andy Bev because she was being a royal douche. Stop getting your information from Krusty. 2 words, Signal app. There's nothing on the phone. Oh, but then got lazy. I've seen the text. How can Caffey Daffy have seen the text? If it is to be believed, she could be a lying grifter. There's a lot of people out here grifting this case. And some of them will run with every single little lie that pops up because instead of being right, they are trying to be first. That's where all the money is. So she could just be lying about having seen the text. But if she is to believe that she's seen the text, who could have shown her? Aidan Carney, Karen Reed. I am 12% sure, maybe even 13% sure, none of those people would ever talk to Caffey Daffy because this is the Caffey Daffy they will show you. She's a joke that no one on the Free Karen Reed side would ever talk to. So how could she have seen the text if she is to be believed? Does she have a relationship with the MSP, and is the MSP leaking her? Thursday, September 7, 2023, Michael voice message from J.E. Coffindaffer. You have received a voicemail from J.E. Coffindaffer for mailbox 4917. This is to David Traub. David Traub, who is also a big name in the Karen Reed case and the Turtle Boy case. Again, does it prove anything? No. Everything in this video is me speculating, but I think it's a little convenient that the MSP knows the porch pirate. She claims she have seen texts that could only originate from 3 sources, 2 of which would never, ever talk to her other than to laugh in her face. That leaves the MSP, who has been in possession of Aidan Carney's phones for a very long time. Again, it's pure speculation. I don't say anything. I'm just saying it could be interesting to know what she has on her phone. Now we need to figure out what every journalist who talked to Karen Reed ever had, what Aidan Carney and her talked about. Aidan Carney is also a journalist, so again, why shouldn't we look into Caffey Daffy's phones? And then we have another thing that I thought was a little bit strange. We all know that we had that proclamation that the federal investigation into John O'Keefe's death is over. It's the federal investigation into John O'Keefe's death. Put into that what you want. That we read about on Yellow Cottage Cheese, the abominable snowman KP was out there, Christina Rex, NBC Boston. These sources dropped it a week before Brennan said it in court. Brennan said it on March 4th that it had been that they had ended, and I believe he said he learned about it on February 26th or 27th, and then he informed the defense. But how did Plevin and the journos write about it on February 25th? Again, if the feds reached out to the MSP, allegedly on the 26th is the day I believe Brennan claims he knew. But if they reached out to him on the 26th and informed the defense on the 28th, I might have the timeline messed up. because that's from my recollection of what he said in court. And I trust him just about as far as I can throw Megabeth. But how did two reporters and two weirdos on the internet have that information before the defense and the state allegedly had it? Again, it's pure speculation, but shouldn't we get to see what is on Plevin and Kate Peters' phones as well? Will Special Prosecutor Brennan swear under the pains of perjury that no one on the MSP have had any contact with Caffey Daffy, Plevin, or Krusty? None of these people have ever received one piece of evidence before the defense had it or before it's been stated in open court. Will he, under the pains of perjury, testify that no MSM journalist have had any prior notice of evidence coming out before the defense was made aware of it? Because how could the MSN run with a story days before the defense was made aware of it? Days before official statements were made in court, and we saw that message that the investigation into John O'Keefe's death had ended. Again, all of this is pure speculation, but isn't it convenient that you claim Karen Read runs a dirty campaign using social media influencers? I can go on TwitSweat every single day and see how I am a paid shill and I am being run by either Turtleboy or Karen herself. Never talk to Karen. Talk to Turtleboy once. He doesn't send out a newsletter what we have to say. That we all agree that Karen Read is factually innocent is because we look at the evidence. We don't just look at how much we hate Aiden Turtleboy. And that's why we all reach the same conclusion. But why are all the Smurfs fighting so hard against that? And how do they have access to information before anyone else? I'm just speculating. I don't know anything. But it's makes you think a little bit.